Hey guys, it's Brittany. So, homeopathy and the root cause. So I am just going to cut to the chase and say no, I don't think homeopathy treats the root cause, but I will tell you why. And that's because I don't really think the root cause is a thing that we can treat. So the problem with the question, does homeopathy treat the root cause, is that I think the root cause is super, super vague. So let's say you come in with asthma. Now, what in the world would the root cause of asthma be? You can say in TCM the lungs are associated with grief. Okay, you've had grief. How do you treat the grief? There are lung tonics that supposedly treat grief. But let's say you magically get better. Not magically, but like you take these lung tonics and you get better. Do you know it's because they treated that grief? Or did they treat something else? And the grief is just a nice story that explains why it treated something else. If you see a homeopath and you come in with asthma, maybe your asthma actually only has to do with the fact that you live by a factory and you've been breathing toxic air your whole life. Now, if a homeopathic remedy helps you, does it magically treat the root cause and remove the factory? No. And now, where I do think this gets complicated, and a lot of homeopaths would argue that it does treat the root cause, is because there's this idea of a predisposition. So in the factory example, if you come in and you have asthma and you've lived next to a factory your whole life, and it's the asthma is supposedly because you breathed all this horrible air your whole life, not everyone who lived next to the factory will necessarily get asthma, right? Even if it's a high percentage, it's not going to be 100%. Almost nothing in the world is 100%. And so there's this idea that there's a predisposition to getting sick. And if a homeopathic remedy helps, then a lot of homeopaths believe it's working on that level of the predisposition. All right. Now, I think that's true. I do think we have predispositions to certain diseases, and homeopathy does genuinely seem to help at that level, in the sense that you no longer, after successful homeopathic treatment, have the predisposition to that illness in a perfect world. The real world, I think, is a little bit more complicated. But anyway, that's the idea. However, I still don't think we can say it's really treating the root cause, because what is the root cause of a predisposition? It's a nice word, predisposition, but it only describes a phenomenon. It's not actually saying what's going on. We don't know if a predisposition is genetic, if it's environmental. If it's genetic, which genes? How many genes? How many generations backwards do you have to go for an epigenetic change that created that gene? Right? And we don't know that our remedies are necessarily working on that level. We can surmise that they are based on what we see clinically, but we don't actually know. We don't have a study that shows that if you give this remedy for asthma, it actually changes this epigenetic marker which caused the asthma in the first place. Right? And even if we had that, what was the cause of that epigenetic marker that changed in the first place? Was it because your grandfather smoked once? Or was it because your grandmother sat next to somebody who smoked once? We don't actually know, right? We don't know. And so I can say that homeopathy does seem to make your system more resilient over time, and it seems to treat the whole disease. Meaning, if you have asthma and eczema, a homeopathic remedy usually works on both. It doesn't just work on one. You don't need one remedy per symptom the way you do in other types of medicine. Homeopathic remedies are prescribed for generally the whole system. There are exceptions, but generally speaking, the whole system. And I think that's why people will say that it works on the root cause, because it seems like you just remove all illness from the body sometimes with homeopathic remedies. But like I said, we can't actually know what the root cause is, so then we can't actually say that it's been removed. Alright, I could go on another naturopath rant here, but I will save you guys, because I think I do that enough. Anyway, till next time.